In December 2023, the Palestinian Center for Policy and Survey Research conducted a poll in the West Bank and Gaza Strip. The poll highlighted that the vast majority of those in the West Bank and Gaza Strip deny Hamas committed atrocities against Israeli civilians on October 7th, and also support Hamas' decision to launch its offensive attack on Israel. I'm not here to dispute who did or who didn't start this war, or to mitigate the loss of innocent lives. The intent of this video is to teach people more about Hamas, the recent acts of which the vast majority of those in the Gaza Strip and West Bank endorse. And you may ask, why is it important that I learn about Hamas? Well, it's important because the world needs peace. And the peace the world needs can never be achieved with Hamas. And to that you might ask, why can peace never be achieved with Hamas? Well, there is an underlying reason why peace can never be achieved with Hamas. It's a reason that is in plain sight, yet seldom discussed in detail. So whilst our hearts go out to those who are grieving, each life lost a stark reminder of the urgent need for peace, compassion, and justice, we also need to seek to understand why peace is not being achieved and why it cannot be achieved. And with that in mind, let's find out what the underlying reason is.
Cause I'm just going to pray. The disbelievers going to hate. Habibi, I'm just going to shake. Shake it off.
Hey Mohammed, I've been hearing a lot about the Israel and Palestine conflict in the news in recent times. It really saddens me to see so many innocent people dying, and I really don't know how we can make it stop. Surely Israel and Hamas can come to some kind of peaceful solution for the good of humanity.
Shake it off. I'm honestly beginning to think you should become a stand-up comedian. There is no such thing as a peaceful solution.
What do you mean, Mohammed?
Shake it off. You do know what Hamas' mission is, and you have read their charter and their document of general principles and policies, right?
It's been on my list, but I haven't quite got around to it yet.
It looks like I'm going to have to educate you once again.
Great. I can hardly wait.
But before you learn about that, you will need to learn where Hamas derive their teachings from, and that is from the beautiful religion of Islam.
The word beautiful is getting more subjective by the day.
Once you have learned what Hamas and Islam teach about them, you will begin to understand why there will be no peace. Not just in Israel and Palestine, but across the entire world, until they are gone.
Until who have gone where?
Don't you worry about that for now. Here, come with me. We have some reading to do. To begin with, you need to learn what Islam teaches us about them. There is a lot you can learn about this through the Quran, as well as through the Hadith collections. Why don't you start by reading me a couple of Quran verses?
Surah 5, verse 51. O ye who believe, take not the Jews and the Christians for friends. They are friends one to another. He among you who taketh them for friends is one of them. Lo, Allah guideth not wrongdoing folk. Surah 98, verse 6. Verily, those who disbelieve from among the people of the Scripture, Jews and Christians, and al-mushrikun, will abide in the fire of hell. They are the worst of creatures.
As Allah has clearly stated, we should not be taking Jews as our friends. They are the worst of creatures. Given that Allah doesn't like or trust the Jews, unsurprisingly, He would command me to deal with them accordingly.
Sahih Muslim 4594. Chapter 21. Expulsion of Jews and Christians from the Arabian Peninsula. Jabir bin Abdullah said, Umar bin al-Khattab said that he heard the Messenger of Allah say, I shall certainly expel the Jews and Christians from the Arabian Peninsula until I leave only Muslims there.
Hi there. I hate to interrupt, but you might be thinking at this point, driving people out of their lands. Isn't that what these pro-Hamas and pro-Palestine supporters are complaining Israel has been doing, despite the fact that Muslims have been doing this for centuries to just about everyone else?
In 1095, Muslims had invaded the following Christian lands. They had invaded Christian Syria, Christian Jordan.
Your religion has to have an expansionist element. So then therefore there is no situation or conceivability of peace being made between Muslims and non-Muslims.
Christian Egypt, Christian Algeria, Christian Libya, Christian Morocco, Christian Portugal.
Islam is a warrior religion in many ways, and it's unapologetically so. It's about expansion, it's about conquest and so on.
Christian Spain, Christian France, Christian Sicily, Christian Turkey, Christian Armenia, Christian Italy.
But you won't hear about any of this from these protesters.
Many of the protesters are part of the LGBTQIA+ community.
Despite the fact some of them would be the first on the Islamists' hit list if they ever took power.
Would you say you're pro-Palestine or pro-Israel?
Pro-Palestine.
As a gay man, I would be punished and or put in prison or killed if I were openly gay in Palestine. How do you react to that?
I didn't know that.
Of course you didn't. But that's okay. Maybe it's because they simply don't expect much from the followers of an illiterate 7th century Arabian caravan robber and warlord Muslims call their prophet. Speaking of whom, let's go back to him now.
Notice the heading on the page you're reading.
The Book of Jihad and Expeditions.
That's right. As you know from one of our previous adventures, jihad is a little more than just simply an interior spiritual struggle.
Reason why you have to fight them is because they are Jews and Christians. You should fight those empires around you, or those hukumat around you, which are Jew or Christian, until they give the jizya. That's fine. That we already know Islam allows. And then the howness of that is in the hadith. The three options that they're given.
Number one, to call them to Islam. If they refuse, then tell them Allah obliged upon you to pay taxation, jizya.
You give the jizya, or you do this or you do that.
If they refuse, then we have to fight. And if we fight you, then we capture you, you become our slaves, and we take your land, and you take where, because you refuse, I give you two good options. This is the strength of Islam.
I see that the expansion of the Islamic empire is a proof for Islam. I believe it's miraculous, if anything, that this happened.
Then why did it stop at Europe's borders, so to speak, if it was a miraculous expansion?
Yeah, it stopped out because of it wasn't successful there. It wasn't. It stopped where it couldn't go further.
The kuffar from Dar al-Harb, there can never be a permanent treaty with the kuffar because it cancels out jihad. It can't be forever. When Muslims get stronger and it's a benefit for the Muslims, they inform the enemy, this treaty has come to an end.
Yeah, we're not apologetic about that point.
And who better to carry out jihad against than the Jews? Allah also informed me that we need to fight and kill the Jews if we are to bring on the end times.
Sahih Muslim 7339. It was narrated that Abu Huraira said, "The Messenger of Allah said, the hour will not begin until the Muslims fight the Jews, and the Muslims will kill them, until a Jew hides behind a rock or a tree, and the rock or tree will say, 'O Muslim, O slave of Allah, there is a Jew behind me, come and kill him.' Except the Garkad, a thorny tree, for it is one of the trees of the Jews."
Now you're getting it. We shouldn't be befriending these Jews. They are the worst of creatures according to Allah. If we want to bring on the end times, we are going to have to fight and kill all of them. The key word in this hadith is until.
Mohammed, I have been reading some books in my spare time, and I have to ask, this hatred you seem to have towards Jews, it wouldn't happen to be because they continually rejected you, given you are the most obvious false prophet in history, or that you were poisoned by a Jewish woman whose family was slaughtered by Muslims?
Absolutely not. I have this hatred towards Jews because of what Allah told me about them.
I thought that might be the case. You and Allah seem pretty like-minded. If I didn't know any better, which I don't, I might think that you're just making up these revelations because you despise Jews.
That's because I am making them up as I go along? I mean, I just do what I'm told by Allah. Anyway, now that you know what Allah and I have to say about the Jews, let's learn a bit about Hamas. So now that you know what Islam teaches about Jews, you will be able to better understand where Hamas are coming from when reading their charter and general principles and policy documents.
What's now?
Just open that document on your desk there and start reading.
Hamas Document of General Principles and Policies, page 2. The land of Palestine. Palestine, which extends from the River Jordan in the east to the Mediterranean in the west, and from Ras al-Nakura in the north to al-Rashrash in the south, is an integral territorial unit. It is the land and the home of the Palestinian people. The expulsion and banishment of the Palestinian people from their land and the establishment of the Zionist entity therein do not annul the right of the Palestinian people to their entire land and do not entrench any rights therein for the usurping Zionist entity. Palestine is an Arab Islamic land. It is a blessed sacred land that has a special place in the heart of every Arab and every Muslim.
That's right. From the River Jordan to the Mediterranean Sea, Palestine will be free.
But Mohammed, what does that mean for Israel? Doesn't Israel sit within the borders of the area you just defined?
Sheikh Itoff, there is no such thing as Israel. The place that people refer to as Israel is actually Palestine. Israel has no right to exist. Keep reading.
Hamas Document of General Principles and Policies, page 6. Hamas believes that no part of the land of Palestine shall be compromised or conceded, irrespective of the causes, the circumstances, and the pressures, and no matter how long the occupation lasts. Hamas rejects any alternative to the full and complete liberation of Palestine, from the river to the sea.
That's right. We are taking all of it and will accept nothing less. We will never stop attacking those Jews until we have what is rightfully ours, no matter how many years go by or how many people die as a result. Sheikh Itoff, I want you to take a look at the Hamas Charter.
Hamas Charter, Article 13. Peaceful solutions, initiatives, and international conferences. Initiatives and so-called peaceful solutions and international conferences are in contradiction to the principles of the Islamic resistance movement. Abusing any part of Palestine is abuse directed against part of religion.
To negotiate or to concede anything to the Jews is purely non-Islamic and would be frowned upon in the eyes of Allah.
Surah 2, verse 120. But the Jews will not be pleased with thee, neither the Christians, until thou follow their religion. Say, the direction of Allah is the true direction. And verily, if thou follow their desires, after the knowledge which hath been given thee, thou shalt find no patron or protector against Allah.
Notice, this quote is directly from the Quran. Hamas based their teaching off the sayings of Allah and myself.
There is no solution for the Palestinian question except through jihad. Initiatives, proposals, and international conferences are all a waste of time and vain endeavors.
And jihad is what we will implement.
Hamas Charter, Article 7. The Islamic resistance movement aspires to the realization of Allah's promise, no matter how long that should take. The Prophet, Allah bless him and grant him salvation, has said, "The day of judgment will not come about until Muslims fight the Jews, killing the Jews, when the Jew will hide behind stones and trees. The stones and trees will say, 'O Muslims, O Abdullah, there is a Jew behind me. Come and kill him.' Only the Garkid tree, evidently a certain kind of tree, would not do that because it is one of the trees of the Jews."
Sound familiar? All of these teachings are coming directly from Allah. If there's one thing that unites Muslims, it's a shared hatred of Jews because of teachings such as these.
وجود اليهود خلف كل مؤامرة من المؤامرات هذا يعني قص الله سبحانه وتعالى علينا ذلك من خلال هذه الآيات. وإن تلاحظ يمكن أكثر من ثلث القرآن يتحدث عن بني إسرائيل، ليس طرفا علميا وإنما من باب أخذ الحيطة والحذر في كيفية التعاطي والتعامل مع هؤلاء الحثلات من البشر.
وننسى اليهود اللي هم أخطر من الإيدز.
الاعتراف بيهود
وإعطائهم فلسطين أو التنازل لهم عن شبر من فلسطين هو شر كله. يعني أن يثبت هذا الكيان السرطاني شر خلق الله. لتجدن أشد الناس عداوة الذين آمنوا اليهود والذين أشركوا، فعدم قتالهم هو شر مستطير.
اليهود في كل مكان، يجب أن نهجم على كل يهودي متواجد في الكرة الأرضية ذبحا وقتلا بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى. بكفي تسخين خلاص. ركبة اليهودي حقها قديش عندنا؟ 5 شيكل أو أقل إن شاء الله تعالى.
اليهود شر خلق الله. الفساد الأخلاقي مربوط بين اليهود.
اليهود أهل غدر، أهل غدر. لا صلح مع اليهود، لا صلح مع اليهود.
Hamas also do a great job of drilling these teachings into their youth through kids' TV shows. My personal favorite is Tomorrow's Pioneers.
لا في يهود ولا في صهاينة، خلاص كلهم يكونوا مدحورين البحر ويصير كلياتنا زي ما بنروح على الكعبة زيارة يا سراء، يصير العالم كلهم يجوا وين الزيارة؟ على القدس. شو بدك تسوي لليهود اللي طخوا بابا؟ ايش بدك تسوي لهم؟
بدي اقتلهم.
زي ما قتلوا
بابا. احنا نسوي شيء، احنا بدنا نطردهم بس من ارضنا.
بدنا احنا نذبحهم يا سراء عشان يتشردوا من ارضنا اكيد.
ما هو بدنا يعني نطردهم من ارضنا
ما هو اذا ما ردوش بالسلام ولا بالكلمة ولا بالحدوتة لازم بالشحن.
Farfar, the mouse, is my favorite character. He's a real hoot.
سنابل، انت شو حتعملي يعني من اجل الاقصى؟ شو حتفدي يعني روحك من اجل الاقصى؟ شو هتعملي؟
حطخ.
ترسم صورة.
ايش هنعمل يعني؟ كيف احنا بدنا يا سنابل نحرر؟
بدنا نقاوم.
وبعدين؟ هذا حفظناها وبعدين؟
احنا بدنا يتركونا اليهود. احنا بدنا ندافع عن الاقصى بارواحنا وبدمائنا، ولا لا يا سنابل؟ لا تستفد.
Farfar eventually gets killed by a Jew in a later episode.
نعم أحبابنا الأطفال، لقد فقدنا أعز صديق لنا، فرفور. لقد استشهد فرفور وهو يدافع عن أرضه.
This really helps embed hatred towards Jews from a young age. This series first aired in 2007. Where do you think those children are now? Grown up and waging jihad against Israel and the Jews.
Mohammed, isn't that a form of brainwashing?
There is no such thing as brainwashing in Islam. Only heart-washing.
Why do we say Allahu Akbar more than 300 times a day? Why do you say praise be to Allah? Why do you say glorified is Allah Azza wa Jal? This is heart-washing, not brainwashing.
We can't stop and we won't stop until we have all of it. And even then, we won't stop until every one of those Jews is wiped off the face of this earth.
يجب أن نهجم على كل يهودي متواجد في الكرة الأرضية ذبحا وقتلا بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى. بكفي تسخين خلاص.
With any luck, these useful idiots in the West will convince Israel to stop so we can keep waging jihad until we fulfill our commitment to Allah. Sheikh Itoff, I want you to give me a summary of what you have learned today.
Okay, Mohammed, so what I have learnt about Hamas is the following. Hamas take Islam's teaching seriously and understand that Jews should not be taken as friends and that they are the worst of creatures according to Allah. And when I say Allah, I mean your sock puppet. They are aware that you are told by Allah, your sock puppet, not only to expel the Jews from the Arabian Peninsula, but also that the end times would not come until Muslims fight and kill Jews, meaning nothing less than a complete genocide. Hamas, who have based their charter and guiding principles document on the teachings of Islam, will not accept any form of peace negotiations. They want all of the land, from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea, meaning the complete annihilation of Israel. And even then they won't stop until all Jews are wiped off the face of the earth.
يجب أن نهجم على كل يهودي متواجد في الكرة الأرضية ذبحا وقتلا بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى. بكفي تسخين خلاص.
And in addition to all of this, I've learnt that Hamas brainwash.
This is heart-washing, not brainwashing.
I mean heart wash. Kids from a young age to despise Jews, even using children's television shows to do so.
احنا بدنا تقتلنا اليهود.
Hamas also look forward to bringing on the end times by fighting and killing Jews, exactly as you have commanded.
Hamas and Hezbollah and those who, their charters talk about the destruction of Israel. There has to be a way to get the Gazans to say, we're not them. We are not them. We don't want them. We're not them. When the ideology is that bad and you have enough people, 60, 70, 80% of Gazans identify with Hamas and think they were right, how do you stop? You've got to have a core number of people who say, we're not that. We want to be something different. When that happens, then you have a chance at real peace. Otherwise, you're just going to be playing this game over and over and over and over again. With the viewpoint of Islamicists, it may be you never wipe it out. You never do. And you can never get people to see sense because they're so warped in their ideology of kill, 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 and I'll go to heaven.
I'm also starting to realize that Islam is more of an expansionist political movement than anything else. A political movement that has a very similar attitude towards Jews as that of one once run by a German man with a tiny mustache. And that it's also a political ideology that doesn't just come for Jews, but for anyone who doesn't align with its insane barbaric teachings. Teachings which have come from you, a deranged psychopath who amongst countless other things was the victim of a magic spell, had sex with a prepubescent 9-year-old girl, had 9 wives even though the Quran only allows 4, got caught having sex with your slave Maria in the bed of your wife Hafsa, and often had semen all over your clothes.
I didn't quite catch that last part, as so often seems to be the case. It couldn't have been Satan urinating in my ear this time, as I was up in time for prayer. I'm going to have to go to an audiologist, but well done, Sheikh Itoff. You are now an expert on Hamas, and you now understand why there will never be peace between Israel and Palestine.
Mohammed, if I didn't know any better, which I don't, I would think that the real underlying reason peace can never be achieved between Israel and Palestine is because of Islam and its teachings about Jews. But I would never think of suggesting that, as I would be labeled a racist, despite the fact I am talking about the teachings of Islam, the religion, and not Muslims as a whole or any one individual Muslim.
Yes, that's correct. It does have to do with Islam. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. I can't even read words off a page, and even I know that. What's your point?
Forget it. I'm just heading off to fight some Jews. Can't wait to bring on the end times. With any luck, I'll die a martyr, get 72 virgins, and not have to be burdened with you or these insane teachings anymore.
See you in paradise.
If you enjoyed this video, please remember to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you would like to see more videos like these, please consider supporting me on Patreon. You can also find me on X and Rumble.
Islam.